Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our program. We are delighted to be hosting you on ancient healing and health, Visa's method of the technology and the latest in the era of COVID-19.
I can't hear you.
Apologies to have started our program very late, but we will catch up. We'll make sure we take care of time. So as we go on, I would line up our program where we have our praise poets that are going to serenade us with the South African and African poetry that speaks to our history on the legendary Africa and its history. We have our team from TPACEW that are already working very hard to make sure that we reach the entire continent and the world. In the era of COVID-19, we have gathered through the support and the sponsor by the Department of Arts and Culture and the TPACEW group and the various arts that are coming through. We are delighted indeed to be part of you. Welcome our audience that are listening from different media and from different homes. We are delighted. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome each and everyone who has tuned in this afternoon to be with us. The Department of Arts and Culture, Department of Minister Natim Tetwa, the DGs and the staff, the TPACEW team, the different ambassadors from the AU and others globally. We are facing a challenging era of global pandemic, of COVID-19 and various ailments that are taking place and are ravaging our countries. As a group, we have decided to come and dialogue on these issues, which deals with the ancient healing and ancient health. But looking into the challenges that have already faced us, we sat down as the continental stakeholders to say, what is it that we need to do as Africa to start to deal with this from both ends, facing the ancient healing methods and looking into the technological developments that are taking place, the modern medicines and the synthetic medical treatment. We are excited indeed to present the panelists that are going to deal with the various facets. Let me just give a brief why do we want to discuss the issue of ancient healing and ancient medicines. As Africa, we have the roots, we have the herbs, we have the leaves, we have the knowledge, we have our own belief or the Church of Africa that deals with spirituality. As a continent, we have been sick, but we have been healed by using all the treatments I have mentioned.
I will call on to Jessica Mbangeni to just quickly give a praise.
To our wonderful audience, I would like to apologize for the glitches.
This is the time. Beyond COVID-19. This is the time for the African Union to come together and craft the strategies that can be able to enable the continental free trade to monitor the value chain of the Africa's commodities for the Africa's beneficiation and safeguard the illicit outflows. This is the time for our indigenous knowledge systems, our ancient ways of healing to take the center stage and drive the Africa's transformation. Remember, we are what we eat. We are not what we don't eat. Remember, we are what we drink. We are not what we don't drink. Remember, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Remember, we are the ones who have made it possible for the world markets to trade in gold, in diamonds, and the food our stomachs still in. Remember, we are the grandchildren of Nongause. We are the great-grandchildren of the warrior men and women that in science led, the patriots in Papua and Kachoyo took to battle, the soldiers Mushashu and Gungunyane thought never to dishonor the cause of freedom. Freedom for me is freedom for you. I am because you are. You are because I am. Remember, our mind and our knowledge of ourselves is found by the victories that are the jewels around our African crown. The victories that we had from Isandwana to Khartoum, as Ethiopians, as Ashanti of Ghana, and as the Berbers of the desert. Remember, I am not an African because I was born in Africa, but I'm an African because Africa was born in me. The people without the knowledge of their culture, their traditions, their history of origins are like the tree without roots. Once said, I am an African. I owe my being to the hills and the valleys, the mountains and the clays, the rivers, the seas, the trees, the deserts, the flowers, and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land. My body has frozen in our frost and in our latter day snow. It has thawed in the warmth of the sunshine and melted in the heat of the midday sun. The crack and the rumble of the summer thunders, lest by startling lightning, having the cause of both trembling and of hope. The fragrances of nature have been as pleasant to us as the sight of the white blooms of the citizens of the veldt. We are who we are. We are the Africa that we want to see. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Keep on digging deep that hive of prestigious knowledge and wisdom. And remember, we still owe our being to the koi and the sand, whose desolate souls haunt the great, expansive, beautiful Cape. They who fell victims of the worst merciless genocide our native land has ever seen. And they who, as the people, perished in the result. But today, as the country, we still keep inaudible and audible silence about these great ancestors of the generations that live, fearful to admit the horror of the former deed, seeking to obliterate from a memory a cruel occurrence, which in its remembering should teach us not and never be inhuman again. The human presence among all these, the feature on the face of our native land that's defined. I know none can challenge me when I say I'm an African. Kubekani is doggers. Kubekani magatin man makiyasana. Mandiniaga first banana one tagata. Hojo! Decham. Decham. Ding. I am an African.
Thank you so much. I would clap my hands. Brilliant presentation. Beautiful attire, presenting who we are. Thank you, Jessica Awambongi. I call you the queen. While we are still enjoying and just looking at the beautiful scenes that we have watched, of the clothes, the beads that put Africa together.
Thank you very much. My name is Abdul El Goni. I am Sudanese.
Are there elephants?
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Karim El Goni.
Should I continue?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Elgon Karimi, we're waiting for you.
Yes, I should continue. Okay. My name is Abdul Karim El Goni. I'm a medical doctor, public health specialist, And
You're not allowed to talk.
I am also the chairman of the African Diaspora Forum, an organization that is coordinating the work of 35 African countries, migrants in South Africa, as well as Pakistan and Bangladesh. It's a big organization, and I am coming from a nomadic tribe in Sudan. So I lived all my life using traditional African medicine in Sudan, and have a lot of knowledge about it, especially the wild fruits and roots, to use them in different health problems.
Though I'm unable to hear your presentation, but continue.
Sure. Okay. In our tribe, or at least in Northern Africa, people believe that the illnesses as Africans have three aspects, which is the physical, the spiritual, and the social. So when we wanted to solve any of the problems any of the ailments that people suffer from, usually our traditional healers will look at the three aspects. So if there is pain in the body, they will see which herbs can relieve that pain. If you have nausea, if you have a boil, or if you have whatever, they will try to treat that one. Secondly, there is also a belief that when you have a problem like this, there is a spiritual element. There is either God is not happy with you, or an ancestor is not happy with you, or someone in the community has bewitched you. And then for that component of your health, something has to be done which is related to spirituality. And the third one is relating to the social aspects of illness, which is mainly related to the stigma that is associated with some illnesses, especially the mental health. And as you can see now, COVID-19, HIV and AIDS has a very bad stigma associated to it.
I would want you to hold your thought so that
Okay.
we can come back. Can we go through to Zola, our spiritual healer, and Inyanga and traditional healer? I know that in South Africa, we have Lingane that is growing in the field anywhere, and we can access it with other herbs and roots that we can use to make sure that we treat and heal ourselves or reduce the infection on COVID-19. What is your take, Zola, Utonga, Kashimba, our traditional healer? Share our knowledge of Africa on the healing.
Okay, perfect. So in response to your question, that is a very interesting question. Should we just focus on wormwood and just plants alone, or should we just focus on other ways of treating COVID? Now, if we're talking about coronavirus, the first thing I want to say about it is that there's multiple ways to treat it. It's not just about using a herb. Why? Because if we're talking about a disease, we have to understand in Africa, we have a whole science around what is disease and how does it happen in the body. And we believe disease happens through the processes of nature. Now, we obviously in Africa believe that a human being is a multi-dimensional being, meaning a human being has a spirit, has a spirit, is made up of natural principles or is bound to natural principles. These very same natural principles make nature, and the human being's environment is within nature. So the other part of human beings is the nature. The fourth part would be our ancestors. Then the fifth part would obviously be ourselves. But our methodology obviously then would follow a holistic approach, which would use a blend of different tools. So we've already discussed natural principles or natural laws, holistic diagnosis, where we look at emotional, spiritual, psychological, physical, and environmental conditions. We would also look at nutrition. We would look at medicine. We'd look at detoxification procedures, holistic diagnosis and divination, And we'd be diagnosing to look at different aspects of the person to address the core issue. Now, natural principles, just to give a brief, quick definition of everything, natural principles are the foundational and the foundation of life's processes. Nutrition, in the African sense, is naturally occurring foods which are complete, molecularly complete. They have all the nutrition, all the minerals, vitamins in the natural ratio. And obviously medicines, herbs that we consider medicines, because that was part of nutrition. You know, so medicine was not just we are in Africa. Medicine is not just a plant. It's also prayer. It can be practices. You know, it can be artistic expression, cultural expression, physical exercises, self-care, self-acceptance, self-love. So it can take multiple forms. You know, and then obviously we'll talk a little bit of detoxification, which is thorough cleansing of all your bodies. So the solution obviously then to this whole thing we have to coronavirus would obviously to achieve sustained health and wellness, we have to observe and appreciate the natural laws. Following the natural laws and principles results in good health. Now, nature is the principle of, I want to start with the principle of nature, right? Nature is a multi-dimensional expression of all things that we can perceive and the things that are beyond our perception. In order for nature to maintain its form and structure, it has to work in integrity, meaning it has to be honest with itself, and it has to keep remembering each and every part of itself, you know, to continuously sustain it. So it has to be true to its relationships that are formed through everything that manifests through it. Nature is consistent, as above, so below. That which happens at the top happens at the bottom. There are multiple reasons for disease. As a result, there's multiple reasons for disease and there are multiple approaches to healing. In this example, what I am trying to say to you is simply this. In nature, you find healthy people and healthy creatures and healthy everything, but you also find unhealthy creatures, unhealthy people, and unhealthy everything. Nature is not against both, but uses both to achieve its purposes. What I'm trying to say is simply this. The nature of health and the processes that govern health and wellness and longevity are the same natural principles.
Hi, I would like to hold your thought, Zola, and thank you for your perspective. And this is very exciting. We would like you to wrap it up so that we are able to move on. You will come back and give more on the treatment side of issues. How do we deal with it? Okay, this is very interesting. I would like us to take a short break and bring our poet who is going to give us insight on this kind of treatments across Africa. Music can be part of healing. Food can be part of healing. Our traditions and heritage, they are part of healing. Let's listen.
Zama zile kabisa, wewe ulikuwa wewe. Ulikuwa wewe na nafsi yako. Ulikuwa wewe na ardhi.
There's someone on the floor.
Speaking.
Ulikuwa wewe na maji.
Which is not helping us.
Ulikuwa wewe na ardhi. Lakini leo wewe si wewe tena. Umebaki kivuli. Unataka kuwa wao na hata unapitiliza. Hauko kwao, hauko kwako. Unajua ulipo. Hamjui kwa kuwa umejifunika gubi blanketi la wakati. Tunakoroma, tunaota ndoto za zama. Ulimwengu unajokimbia nje hatuuoni. Kila mmoja anamtafuta adui. Tunaonyeshwa adui wa bandia, tunafarijika. Tunatoka jasho. Tunawekeza nguvu zetu zote katika kufanya mapambano na simba wa plastiki. Iko wapi mizizi yetu? Iko wapi misitu yetu? Yako wapi maji yetu? Ziko wapi nguvu zetu zilizotuponya kwa karne na karne, kwa miongo na miongo? Wazee wetu walikuwa wanaishi miongo na miaka. Wazee wetu walikuwa wanajitibu kutumia nini? Lakini leo asili yetu imekwenda kuwa njia mbadala. Amka, futa matungotongo, angalia nje, tuanze safari mpya, safari ya kujitambua, safari ya Mwafrika, safari ya Mwafrika mwenye kila kitu katika dunia hii. Afrika kwanza, wengine watafuata. Asanteni.
So profound, I could pick up a few here and there, but you can hear the energy, the vigor, and that it's coming from inside, that Africa will have to transform, and Africa will have to go back to its own roots to start to use the medicine. So let's move on and bring it back to Zola to say, after listening to all the speakers, how do we make sure that we are able to fuse the two, the ancient medicine, which is traditional, and the modern medicine, which is synthetic and more technology?
So I'd say first, to answer that question, we first have to listen to what all the speakers suggest so we can come to a common ground. For us as Africans to move forward, we have to meet on common ground, so we should never have a thing where there's no inclusiveness. The most important thing is for us beyond this meeting is to work on our capacity to be inclusive. A lot of the time, we are not inclusive towards one another. We are always trying to compete with the world to make some type of contribution, which would save our communities for some of us. Some of us, it's about making a mark. Some of us, it's about an economic gain. Some of us, it's about a love of the practice. We need to have a space for all these different type of people. It must be come as you are and not come if you qualified. Because you never know what someone can be tomorrow, because we're learning every day. Marcos.
Thank you once more for all the input that is coming through. But I would like all our panelists to prepare the closing remarks. Will start to assist us on the way forward to say, as Africa and as South Africa, what do we need to do? So our next speaker would be Dr. Elgoni Abdul Karim, who is going to give us his overview.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity that you have created, and we need to take it forward and sustain it and create a small body that will take this discussion forward, bring in more resources, more people, more experiences, and give it a voice so that we keep this effort going on. I'm really appreciating what you have done, and this is what we look for in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni. We are going to move over to Mpho, the pharmacist, to say, from the packaging point of view and the entrepreneurial point of view, how are we going to regularize the two streams, the ancient medicine and the traditional medicine?
Thank you very much, Sister T. It has been a pleasure for me to be part of this panel with all the technical glitches that we had today. First of all, as Africans, we need to embrace our heritage and then also encourage the youth, as it is a youth month, to start realizing where they're coming from and then what is their role in the entire African practices. Because in Africa, we do not necessarily heal through drinking or applying something. It is also a spiritual thing that we need to follow. But from the packaging side, we need to move from displaying on the floors. We need to start putting a technology behind the formulations that we have as Africans, and then claim our spaces in the main shelving in the retail chains, because that is the only way that will encourage our generations to come to embrace this practices. And then moreover, there is a huge opportunity for all the youth and other elderly people to take advantage of this, because we are the only ones who can tell our story better. So in closing, I'm thinking, in agreement with Dr. Ogoni, we need to take this forward and then have a body where the legislators will be partaking as well, to transform the industry in a way to have a gap where African traditional medicines can play a role in making sure that we respond to the treatments, especially now that we're having COVID. I mean, we need a continental response team to start coming down to the roots and say, let us use our African solutions to get an African problem, so that we can resolve it for everyone in the globe. Thank you very much for affording me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mpo. This is so profound, and it is really giving us a way forward to say, how are we going to move and make sure that we transform our medical treatments? Right. Zola, I think you are the next one. Umkhulu Zola Thokoza Kamagu. We would like to know, how are we going to package and twin the two processes of ancient healing and the modern healing technologies? How best are we going to bring the two together to make sure that our medicines and our experiences get onto the shelf and got into the surgeries of all the doctors we work with, and we twin the two processes?
So what I'm going to say in response to that is, thank you firstly for this opportunity. I know it's a lot to work with people at the same time. So in response to your question, I'll say it needs synchronization first. You know, it needs, each industry needs a mind. You know, there's laws around how our products work. But if you want to get a product into a shelf, there's a whole series of laws around that, because we ourselves as Africans don't actually just compete in Africa, and we actually producing lots of products for the rest of the world. So everything works according to those policies. So firstly, we need a legal sector, a whole legal team that's going to try and work out the legalities around it. You need another side of it that's going to do your whole testing. It needs to happen. We need testing. We need another side that's going, with the legalities, someone that's going to do licensing, because licensing is so important. I'm feeling that us as Africans, we need to grow to a point where we take responsibility for our knowledge and stop selling it. Take responsibility for ownership and not treating it as a commodity of possession. We as Africans live in possession and not in ownership. And if we really are serious about getting our products out there as an African brand, benefiting African people, building an African economy, a lot has to change. First, inclusivity. Before we even get to inclusivity, we as Africans, we need to first deal with our pain, our angers, our issues. We need to mourn, we need to grieve, we need to deal with our history. Put it away, let it be, you know, so we can focus. We can't focus if we're still arguing and fighting about things that are unresolved. So that's why I say inclusivity first. Yes, we need to come together as Africans. Yes, the borders need to come down, and we need to restore Africa as a continent, as Africa as the world. You know, it requires a whole other thing, history. So I'm just gonna say that in simplicity, we need to return back to the natural ways, the natural laws. We're confused by our own laws that we've made, our own policies. And now we can no longer see how to work together efficiently. Every time we try to work together, we put policies in between the smooth flow of communication and production of work. So I'm just going to say it's a big task. We are facing industries that have been cultivated through intergenerational wealth, through intergenerational education, through intergenerational research. That's what like a World Health Organization or university is. This is what we're going up against. So it doesn't want us to get there unfocused. It wants us to be nice and focused without us holding on to the past, looking at enemies and trying to make them accountable and responsible for giving us what we need. You know, what we need is something that is in our grasp to sustain and to find. You know, in nature, you find everything, you know, and we're still in nature. We build cities and forget that we're in nature. You know, so in conclusion, that's what I will say. You know, we need to return to the natural laws and abandon these laws of man that is confusing us and making us unable to work together.
Thank you very much. Though you didn't speak much on the Lingana and the herbs, how are we going to move to work closely with them? But in our next presentation, I think we'll be more organized and more prepared. This was a good trial that we have come through, but we're excited to have people of your caliber who brings the psychological part to deal with the spirituality and to deal with the physical ailment. Allow me to thank each and everyone who was our panelist today. It was very difficult with the glitches. Hopefully it was the weather that is very cold. The network was not responding very well. But I want to thank especially our audience. I know you're burning with your questions. I would like to take 1 or 2 questions before we close.
Okay. I hear we talk about research in terms of traditional medicine. But we're also looking at traditional medicine from a Western point of view, not from a neutral point of view. So we want our medicine to be part of the Western medicine. We must also understand that our medicine has been tested for a very long time. The use of our medicine is if you can meet somebody from Cape Town saying the same thing as somebody from Durban about the same medicine, it tells you that the medicine has been researched. So it's not for us to really start a new research about our medicine. It's only to then find out which medicine does what, because that in itself means that the medicine itself has been researched for quite some time, because everybody's actually using it. And that's the point of testing, to see if when it's used, what effects it has. And everybody has the same. If you listen to all traditional medical people, they will tell you that this does this, this does. They all have the same story about it. Some may add more things to it, some may add less, but it tells us that it has been researched. So we need to place our reliance on that particular research and understand that all our medicines that we use have actually been researched. Rather than try to join somebody else, we must try and elevate ours. Must also remember that there's also a science to traditional medicine. Traditional medicine is not just belief. There's a science to it. It's just that the science is not understood. Now, the same science that we use for Western science is used also for traditional medicine, but the Western medicine is an extract of the natural laws that one of the, I think Zola was speaking about, the natural laws. So once you get to understand the natural laws, then you understand that traditional medicine actually works from not only from a physical point of view, but from a physical and a spiritual point of view, to understand the origins of the disease. Because whatever happens physically also happens spiritually, especially more so for mental illnesses, which are curable in African medicine. For instance, things like depression can be curable by traditional medicine, where in Western culture it's seen as a defective gene or something to that effect. I'll stop here.
All right. So I saw Mr. Ngobeni, if you can answer that. I saw you raised a hand quickly.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks for the comment. The research we're talking about, it is not to rewrite the history, but we're saying for many, many decades, these practices have been there. But we do not have anything that we can take into the generations to come. So for us to reach that, we need to start documenting. And then for those surviving for those who are still surviving in our generations, we need to talk to and then document all the information that is there, so that when we say we have researched how best we know in terms of the safety and the efficacy of the drugs. We cannot say, because the main thing that has been happening all along was to negate whatever that we have done, or the works that have been done by others. And then moreover, we did not document. So I think it is important to do a research, not necessarily to say what is it used for, but you find that one thing that I've found myself as a pharmacist, to check the uses of certain drugs. They have multiple usage. So if a tree can produce 3 uses or 4 uses, you must check the other one is going to be a side effect that one cannot be comfortable with while treating the other. So we need to start documenting those so that we can be able to be on the same line. Thank you very much.
Could I
Very much,
add
Mr.
to that?
Ngobeni. All right. Yes, Zola, you can add.
You know, I feel across the board in Africa, to answer that question, it's to bring what both sides, Kuloiso saying and Nkulumpo saying, is that we need to tap into an organization. We need to create an organization which will be a communal organization that can exercise licenses over all these different plants that are already researched. All of these plants were researched by university professors and whatnot. What I'm saying is simply this, that as traditional healers, you know, our knowledge was researched by professors who took their knowledge and then patented it as their research. So they obviously then have the license agreement to do whatever they want. All the research that they have, they can do whatever they want with it because the laws are in their favor. My whole thing is, why are we as Africans unable to reclaim that right? You know, if they can do with it as they please because they've already written about it and it's all out there, NCPI and all these different platforms, the different universities, because of different laws in our country. Like, for example, in South Africa, because of the PASHA Act and the PAIA Act, they're forced to like develop policies which makes universities publish articles and people's theses, and that's how we get all this information. But what I'm saying is, the license agreement at the end, there's no license agreement for IKS. We have to start representing ourselves as IKS, not as healers, not just traditional healers. Because the knowledge that we're operating on is IKS based. It's founded on IKS. And until we can fix that problem, we're stuck. We're stuck because we know the research is done. It's done. There's books about it, both written by Africans, both written by doctors, both written by Africans and doctors from everywhere. You know, so we've got the same plants that are used in TCM are used in Africa. There's some plants that are not here that they use that side, but a lot of our plants are the same. Also in Ayurveda and African medicine, it's the same in South America, because the world was once Pangea, and then Pangea just broke apart. The plants didn't just disappear, they just went with the continent. So we obviously have overlapping plants, but the question is, who has the license agreement? And under what was that license agreement founded? Is it under TA traditional healers? You know, or is it going to be founded under IKS? And this is something we have to really consider and think about. We have to really contemplate it as Africans, that are we going to act alone as individuals in our little clusters? That I am researching this, so I'm going to go and publish my own little thing? Or are we going to come together and organize and have an organization which will actually be able to exercise rights over our indigenous knowledge? It needs to have authority. And as individual clusters, we don't have enough authority to exercise over the world. And this is why I say it needs to start at the grassroots level, at the foundation. It needs proper, thorough assessment. It's not about one plant. It's not about one plant. One plant is just a product. It's just a product. It's just a product. We've got
I would
hundreds
like
of
to
thousands of products.
I would
You know,
like to
people
chip
just
in,
living in
Vanessa
one
and
world.
Dr. Zola. I would like to chip in the sense that while we are dealing with these logistics and the nitty-gritties on legislative pieces that are required, people are dying. Something needs to be done. In a street level, we have Umhlonyana, Ilingani, we have the blue gum trees, we have the pine trees, we have your ubuchu, we have your African potatoes. This didn't need any research. Our forefathers discovered it and started to use it, and it works. And we're still using it. Madagascar has made its own findings. And now it seems as if the world is refusing to see Africa as a light in terms of healing and transforming medical perspective. So it is upon us today to say, how are we going to change the scenario? How are we going to change the perspective to make sure that we start to use what we already have as African because it exists, it's here. We've got it. Thanks. Vanessa,
So
you can continue with taking questions.
my response to that would be, let's follow in the footsteps of Madagascar and Tanzania. You know, let's follow in their footsteps. Let's stop trying to develop the Western or Eastern market. Why are we trying to develop their market? If we know our herbs are working for ourselves, why are we worried about their market? The only reason we're worried about their market is because we're trying to sell our products to their market instead of trying to develop our own market by selling our products to ourselves. You know, the whole thing, why we're worried about what do they think about us is because we're not placing focus on ourselves here and creating a market here. If we were creating a market here for these products, meaning these products are already on the market first. If you go to the traditional markets, many of our herbs are already there, they're on the market. What do you mean we need to make a new market? The markets are there, you know, but then there's also health stores, there's also discount, which makes it like a whole other class thing. It's a thing, not a case system. It's now about which class are you in. And then the lower your class, the less validation your art or your science gets in the higher classes. You know, and it's a reality. And why is there a higher class? Because we have to serve it. And where's this higher class coming from? Outside of Africa.
Thank you so much. I would like us to start moving towards wrapping up our conversation. Allow me to appreciate all of you, especially our audience who have been with us for the past few hours. Though it was a bit difficult, I think we have smoothened it up now. We are running. But what I have picked up, it's the issue of medical research, that most of this has been researched and they just need to be enhanced. And we have reliable treatments that have already been done. The issue of documentation, we cannot run away from. The issue of licensing, we cannot run away from it. But I think we who are using, especially our herbalists, our inyangas, I agree with Dr. Zola, Kulu Zola, to say, yes, let's come up with a way that will pull all the traditional healers across Africa, across the continent, to start to look into the different medicines that works for different reasons, so that they are able to team up with the pharmaceuticals to come up with one medicine that we can use across for all the different types of illnesses we have. But that cannot run away from the issue of decolonization. Something needs to be done along that. I think in our next conversation, we need to speak about decolonization, that how do we decolonize? Because we all believe that if you are ill or you need treatment, you have to run to the doctor, to the modern doctor. You cannot run to the traditional healer because it is associated with something negative, witchcraft. It is associated with something that is not acceptable in a community. But this is the community that brought us up. This is the community that we live in. Now, how do we move over? Because this has to happen now, and the time is right here. So with this conversation that we have started, I think we'll have more conversations, even in our street level, in our communities, anywhere else, including our radio stations, that will start to talk more about, not about Lingane only, Buchu only, or African potatoes, but we'll bring other medicines that are going to assist us. Let me take this opportunity to give our panelists to close and wrap in 1 minute. Mpongo Beni, the pharmacist, what is your take?
Thank you again, Sister T. The main concern that I want to leave our audience with, I've seen when we're driving around on the stops, four-way stops, there are young people that are selling lingana or mhlonyane on the streets, and then they uproot it. So we might be having the last crop. So we need to start cultivating these herbs and then protect them as we need to pass the information into other generations to come. Coming into the pharmaceutical industry, we need to claim a space as African traditional practitioners in a way that we are recognized throughout the healing processes in the country, especially to form part of the primary health care, because already we are participating in that space, but we are not just getting recognition as such. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and then thanks for the panelists as well.
Thank you so much. I'll move over to Dr. Abdul Karim Elgoni, the chairperson of the African Diaspora, which is a network of NGOs across Africa. As I'm one of you, I would like to hear the issues of campaign, to say how are you going to heighten campaigns that will start to promote the African medicine, the African research, the African pharmacology, because I think as Africans, we are pharmacists by nature. The fact that we have an ability to produce a medicine. For instance, when I steam for this COVID-19, I simply use mint, eucalyptus oil, blue gum tree, lemon leaves, and I steam and make it happen. So let's hear you, Dr. Elgoni. How best can we do this?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Actually, this is an eye-opener. I will definitely, in our next annual general meetings, I will put this issue on the table and see how can we generate more ideas from the different countries, persons that are here in South Africa. This is one. Secondly, I will definitely continue with you now. I have your contacts, that we promote at least an annual traditional healing conference, where people can share ideas, have some workshops, share plans, share new research that is happening, experiences with it, and how can we make it, bring it to the center of the healing process in South Africa, because it is important, it is reaching the majority of the population in South Africa. And we wanted also to see how can we take some of the secrets of it and make it common for everyone. So instead of having the secrets of everything, let us give 50% of the medicines and herbs so that people can grow, give it more prominence so that people can grow some of them in their homes and in their home gardens and use it more. And the more people will use those traditional medicines, the more we will succeed in the objective that you have started. So I want to close again by thanking you all for making this happen. And I hope that you will keep the flame burning. Thank you very much.
So much. That's so profound. Thokoza Gciniathonga Zola Kashimba, our traditional healer. I want to hear your perspective, especially that we are all finding medicines that is assisting us, which is completely different from what Madagascar has found. So which tells us that there's more into these medicinal discoveries that are ancient and they've been there and they've been used. What are we going to do with the young people that are selling on the streets and making sure that we access it? Because now it's an issue of packaging and access.
I'm going to say, Thokozani Koko, siyabonga kakhulu. We give thanks to all the panelists for all the sharing. We give thanks for the space. We give thanks to all the ancestors. We give thanks for today. You know, I'd say let the youth sell. Let them become entrepreneurial. They're developing a skill, you know, and over time they'll learn that you need to have quality in your product, and then they will develop that too. But we have to obviously make them know what is quality, let them know what is quality. So in time, we have to really sort out our situation of academies and institutions that practice IKS and that transfer this knowledge to the youth. You know, so, but let the youth sell. Let the youth sell. I feel Corona is something that can be beat through diet, you know, eating naturally occurring foods because they're nutritionally strong, you know, and they're full of phytonutrients that help flush the body out. And they're alkaline, so they don't make the body acidic, they don't make your stomach acidic, which then doesn't cause your body to attack itself. So I feel by eating a clean diet, a clean alkaline diet where you combine your food properly, and also cleaning your body properly. So palaza, beta, futa. So palaza is vomiting, self-induced vomit, so intestinal bath and steaming, you know, to unclog the body and to clog the waste. So if people can practice that, eat properly and clean your body, you will not get coronavirus. Your body will be fine. But if you don't eat properly, you don't cleanse your body's accumulating waste. And as it's accumulating waste, it's slowing down. And as it's slowing down, the organs are not functioning properly. And as the organs are not functioning properly, nutrition is not getting where it needs to get to, and that's not getting where it needs to get, and that's not getting to it. The organs starting to die because the cells are dying, and then you start to get sick, and your body can't deal with the disease. You know, so I'd say we have to teach people a holistic system. We have to return back to nature.
Mkhulu Zola, I have to cut you because my time is running, and I really would like to thank each and every one. But your input is very valid. I just wanted to add on the issue of traditional cleansing. We seem to be shy, if not embarrassed, about traditional cleansing, where you have to cleanse your body in various means and using various herbs. We need a list of these kind of processes so that we are able to know what to do and how to assist our young people. The issue of eating. Africa is rich with food. It's a problem for me to know that Africa has challenges of hunger when we have so much land and we have so much variety of food stuff that as African we can start to promote. With TPACE and the Department of Arts and Culture, I would like us to dwell on the issue of food, because previously when we were suffering from AIDS and HIV, a lot of foods were introduced to assist us in reducing the infection. I think even with COVID-19, if we can reduce eating synthetic food, highly processed food, we eat our original food, which is your batata, your cassava, your jolofi, your mabela, and your legumes, umboni, ubonchisi. There are quite a lot of foods that we can start to promote that would assist us in reducing and making sure that the curve come down. But we cannot deny the issue of hygiene, where we have to cleanse, wash our hands, sanitize ourselves. If you don't have all the sanitizers, in the ancient time, they were using lemon. Lemon and other different herbs were used. Even your blue gum tree, it's one of the sanitizers that you can utilize. Let me thank the panelists for all your time, those who could join us, and to make sure that next time we are able to find those that couldn't make it to share their expertise and knowledge. Let me once more thank the technical team that was behind the challenges we're facing. I know it was not easy, Kay, with your team at the studio that you created, and our timekeeper, Vanessa. I want to thank you very much, especially the producer of the content, Ms. Fei Shao. It was excellent and exciting, and I'm excited to be part of this show. I hope Sakono, my home, and the other NPOs, the Alliance, were here listening so that they can deepen the campaign and make sure we reduce the curve and we shorten the illnesses and become healthy again.
Once again, thank you very much from the TPACE team. We appreciate, and let's continue the conversation now that we have opened the door to converse and speak on these issues. Let us continue the conversation so that implementation can actually be faster. I would like to just thank you again. All right, just a quick one. I would just like to take through, just before we close, I would just like, for those that were not able to get the information properly on who TPACE, or the Pan-African Cultural Experience, is. As you know, as we started, we had a lot of technical glitches. However, if I can just go through this, TPACE is the Pan-African Cultural Experience. It is a non-profit organization. It was developed by Miss Fei Shao. However, the organization runs various continental initiatives focusing on social and economic transformation. Our objective is to not only create wealth through our cultural experiences, but the preservation of our African culture. As you have seen, we brought this to life, or we have brought the dialogue to life, this one specifically, to be able to activate the objective of preserving our African culture. And so it is important. The reason why I am stating the objective of TPACE, it is that we have created a platform now that we can bring in stakeholders like you to converse, to engage, and to bring Africa forward. As you know, Africa has been at the back end for quite a long time, and we believe that, especially with all these issues that we are currently having in the world, it is now time for Africa to rise and be a voice. And how can we do that if we do not create ourselves a platform where we can make a change and we can bring the transformation that we actually want or need, or that is needed in Africa? Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you very much. The webinar is closed, and we are excited to have tuned in through this afternoon. Thank you once more, especially to our audience. Thank you.